Welcome! Today we're diving into a topic that's absolutely critical for pretty much any business out there, managing credit risk. It's really the art and science of making sure you get paid. So let's get right into it.
Have you ever really stopped to think about this? When a supplier gives you 30 or 60 days to pay an invoice, or a store offers you financing, what's actually going on behind the scenes? It might feel like they're just being nice, but believe me, there's a really powerful business strategy at play here.
So here's the deal. The simple truth is that offering credit, letting your customers pay later, is one of the best ways to ramp up sales, attract new people, and build some serious loyalty. It's a calculated move designed to fuel growth, but, and it's a big but, it comes with a fundamental risk.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. We're going to walk through the entire life cycle of a credit sale. We'll kick things off with the why, then we'll jump into the how. Setting those credit limits, figuring out if your strategy is actually working, keeping a close eye on your accounts, and finally, what to do when things don't go as planned. So let's start with that first big question. For a lot of businesses, especially if you're in a competitive space, offering credit isn't really a choice, is it? It's pretty much a necessity, because if you don't, you can bet your customers will find someone who does. And this, right here, is the core problem we have to solve. Every single time you extend credit, you're introducing credit risk. It's that simple, but very serious possibility that you just won't get your money back. So the whole game of credit risk management is about maximizing your sales while keeping this risk at a level you can live with.
And it all boils down to this fundamental trade-off. The reward, that's the easy part. More sales, happier customers, people who keep coming back. But the risk is just as real. If that customer defaults, you could lose some or even all of the money you're owed. Every single decision we're talking about today is about trying to balance these two things.
Okay, so you've decided you're going to offer credit. The very next question is, well, who gets it and how much is safe to give them? This is where having a really solid process becomes absolutely critical.
Now check this out. This is a fantastic framework called Compare, and it's an amazing way to structure your thinking. It takes you away from just a gut feeling and into a really methodical assessment. You're basically checking off all the key questions. What's their character like? Do they have the legal ability to even sign this thing? Do they have the financial means to pay you back? What's the purpose for the credit? Is the amount they're asking for reasonable? How exactly will repayment work? And finally, is there any insurance, like collateral, to back it all up? A lot of people get hyper-focused on means, but honestly, ignoring character is a huge mistake. A customer who can pay but just won't, well, that's a massive risk.
All right, let's zoom out a little bit. We've gone from the individual decision to your company's bigger strategy. Because it's not enough to just look at customers one by one, you have to step back and ask, is our entire credit policy actually helping us or is it hurting us? And this slide just lays out that strategic balancing act perfectly. If your policy's too loose, sure, you'll make a ton of sales, but you're probably going to see a lot more defaults too. On the other hand, if it's too tight, yeah, your losses will be low, but you might be choking your own growth and basically sending customers right into the arms of your competition. There's no single right answer here. It all depends on your company's stomach for risk.
So, how do you actually know if you've hit that sweet spot? You track the data. You have to look at these key things together. Are sales going up? Awesome. But what's the real profit from those new sales after you factor in your bad debt, and how much it costs to chase down that money? These numbers together tell the true story of whether your policy is working. This brings us to a phase that, honestly, gets overlooked all the time. You've approved the credit, you've made the sale, job's done, right? No way. In a lot of ways, the real work is just getting started.
Think about it. The financial health of your customers isn't set in stone. It can change. A customer who is a sure bet today could be in serious trouble 6 months from now. And that's exactly why good credit management has to be a dynamic, ongoing process. You've got to be watching and ready to react when new information comes in.
This quote from Rouse really just nails it. Having a professional, principled approach isn't just for that first decision. It's for the whole shebang. A well-documented, systematic process for everything, including monitoring, is what separates the successful companies from the ones that get blindsided.
So what happens when your monitoring does pick up a problem? A payment is late. Look, it's an inevitable part of offering credit, and how you handle it can make all the difference in the world.
A good collections process isn't about being aggressive right out of the gate. It's about escalation. As you can see here, it starts off gentle, a simple reminder at 30 days. Then it gets a little more formal at 60 days, maybe a phone call. By 90 days, the tone gets serious. We're talking a final notice and probably suspending any future credit. And if you go beyond that, you start thinking about bringing in outside help. It's a structured process that's fair, clear, and most importantly, it works.
And it's so important to remember that the goal here isn't just to get the money back. A really smart collections team also tries to figure out why the payment is late. Is it a temporary cash flow problem? Is there a dispute about the invoice? If it's a good customer who's just having a tough month, you might be able to work with them and actually save that relationship. It's a very delicate dance between recovery and retention.
And this really brings everything full circle. None of this, from that initial assessment to the final collections call, should ever be improvised. It should all be laid out step by step in a formal credit policy manual. That's what gives you consistency, fairness, and ultimately, it's what protects your business.
All right, we've covered a ton of ground here, from the first why to the final what if. Let's wrap this all up by boiling it down to the most important things to remember.
So here it is, your final checklist. First, never forget that credit is a tool for growth, but you have to respect the risk. Second, use a structured framework to make your decisions as objective as possible. Third, constantly reevaluate your overall policy. Don't just set it and forget it. Fourth, remember that monitoring is an active, ongoing job. And finally, make sure you have a disciplined, escalating process for collections. If you can get these 5 things right, you are way ahead of the game.
So I'll leave you with one final question to chew on. In the economy we're in right now, where does offering credit fall? Is it still a powerful way to get a leg up on the competition, or has it become more of a dangerous, unavoidable risk that every business is just forced to take on? The answer, I think, really depends on how well you manage it. Thanks for tuning in.